Donut shop.
Donut shop, actually, thanks to Khris, we got permission to shoot there through the.
I don't remember what did I do?
I was planning on stealing that too, and it became obvious when we got there we were making too much commotion. We really needed to get some kind of permission to shoot there. But luckily, the manager was very nice and let us film there. I had Khris go in and talk to him, and he said yes. So that was it worked out.
How did the bus
Usually doesn't work out, but.
Was she really screaming on the bus? How's that working out?
No, it was dubbed.
Okay, but was she like just
She was mouthing.
flashing and mouthing?
Yeah.
No one seemed to care and notice that's just regular bus etiquette?
Yeah, it's very amazing. I mean, what you're doing on the bus without getting thrown off.
No one cares in LA.
I guess they're so used to it. People are, there's so much shooting going on all the time, so many little productions, so much independent filmmaking. I think, people don't bat an eye now. Your biggest concern is just being thrown off a location by whoever is in charge of the situation there. It's always, it's amazing though what you can get away with.
How did you know you were done with this film?
That's a good question because, like I said, I was just sort of piecing it together over. There were months that went by and nothing was being done, and then I would try to add a little more to it or come up with an idea for an extension for a sequence or an expansion. Some of it was just improvised. I mean, the story expansion, they're not in the script, things like that, just to try to bookend a scene the Malibu Creek Park sequences, for example, there's a lot more to that in the script that just wasn't possible to do. There's no money to do it, and I couldn't get the actors back, and we had the costumes for a few days, and so I was left with, there was no ending to that, so I tried to add something to that, but it still doesn't really work too well. I don't know, after a couple of years, I guess it's about time to put something together.
Was there any injuries or anything that seemed to happen in this film that was...
Casey sprained her ankle.
The girl, when she's limping, the Foxfur and the Malibu Creek fantasy sequences, she's limping and she injured her foot during some of the running of that.
How were the bus drivers when they collapsed? Were they all right?
Yeah, well, the one guy did scrape his arms up a bit. Mark, the second bus driver, who I used again in the joggers, little jogger add-on sequence there.
Where do you get all of your animals and pets? There seems to be like 12 cats in here.
Yeah. People. I mean, it's easy to get cats and animals. Everyone has just friends and a lot of connections for animals.
Specialty dog with
That was great. The show dog, Gabby Garland.
You put out a special, or is that just coincidence that they have that dog, or did you have to hunt down specialty dogs?
Well, I mean, it's extremely difficult finding trained animals. That costs a lot of money. Finding trained animals. If you're going through Craigslist is usually the source for looking for animals. But no, I mean, it was no special. I mean, just getting lucky, finding people or finding interesting animals, and then hoping the animal cooperates. It's very difficult working with animals, hoping you get something usable out of it.
How much footage did you shoot that is in this film? How much is not in here? Any scenes, anything?
Not a lot, actually, because there wasn't that much shot. And what we did shoot was the shooting days were so short. They were so incredibly short. We had no time, 2-3 hours. I had to rush and try to complete a sequence, which was always a possible situation. So fortunately, it was usable enough to to where I used it all. Most of what we shot, so there wasn't a lot of waste. there couldn't have been. I mean, there was no, the shooting days were so short and so few. You know, if there was a lot of waste there, you know, there would have been nothing there, really.
I'm going to open it up out here. Somebody has some questions somewhere. All the way in the back.
How did you get to shoot in that park? Because I actually tried to get a permit to shoot in that park, but it was impossible.
Malibu Creek Park?
Yeah, no, the one in Glendale.
Brand Park?
Yeah.
With the pillar, with white, we shot the Bond film, I think, there too. I don't know, there was no problems at all, yeah. That was a really easy day. It was a Sunday. It's always good to shoot on a weekend, on a Sunday especially. It's usually, yeah, there are people that work in that place. It would probably be more difficult during the week. People would come out and say something, but on a Sunday is your best bet, I think. Situation like that. And I planned to shoot that whole sequence at Caltech, and they kept throwing us out of there. Even though I'd been to Caltech and shot for hours, and nobody said anything. But the time that we attempted for the Sannyasi scene, the security swarmed on us in 5 minutes. So that was it for that location. You always have to have backup locations too when you're doing a film like this, and you're stealing locations. It's so important to have backup locations because you're going to get thrown off. You know, you got to plan that into your.
How many locations do you think you've been thrown out of in your history of making films?
I don't know, a lot. And it's very discouraging, and it's you know, it's at the same time it's pretty amazing what you get away with. But you know, when you're doing something, you know, like this, you don't want to have to deal with that again, time and time again. It's very discouraging. You know, or you get thrown off of every location you go to. You know, what's the point of going through the trouble of doing it? Especially, you know, you don't want to bring your actors in and then have that kind of situation. So, yeah, you know, you just gotta take a risk and do it. And hope that your actors are you know, sports about it as well.
Some more questions? Right there.
Your editing style is amazing, by the way. But I'm curious, can you distribute your films like Reflections of Evil? Because there's so much footage from television and advertising and all that type of stuff in there. Can you?
Questions about distribution of Reflections and Evil and all that stuff because of the footage from ABC or what it would be?
Well, Reflections of Evil did get distribution, you know, minus some of the ABC promos and things. So, I guess, yeah, but it's generally speaking, no. I mean, licensing issues, yeah, you know, are so complicated. I don't know. Well,
This seems like it would have the least problem with all your...
possibly music, you know, obviously. Yeah, you know, there are a lot of real. As far as I understand, you can use real people. All the characters in this are based on, you know, real people, obviously. And you know, as I understand it, in satire, it's fair use. But I'm not really an expert on the field. I don't know what other, you know, situations there would be. The Billy Meyer thing, for example. I mean, part of the inspiration behind this was doing a film about the whole Billy Meyer story and the Palladian, the contacts in the 70s, if people are familiar with that. I don't know how much of